it just becomes, life is just so much more effortless. That's such a key thing. But what we tend to do is we've got to be effortless. We've got to go to effortless being. How do I? How it becomes a concept, effortless being. So there's a concept of a me now that needs to be an effortless being, needs to operate from effortless being. We're just sort of, those layers I was talking about. So now there's a me that thinks, oh, I shouldn't be having this contraction now. Oh, that's not right. So how do I get rid of it? Now we've got something to get rid of. Whereas the simple thing of it dissolves because the pattern isn't forming. There is, there is not something that needs to get rid of something. There's just a simple noticing. And noticing is effortless. Noticing is appearing. Noticing is another texture of experience, but it's just a more subtle, effortless. Noticing is quite nice, isn't it? It's not doing really. It's just, just notice that. Just notice that you're aware. Just notice that the moment is just appearing as it is. It's just the very ease and light. It's very close to our fundamental absolute nature, which is attributeless. So we can't really pin down what we are. We put like awareness and effortless being onto it just because of the human experience. That's we have to talk in some sort of concepts. But we can look now to see that what we are is prior to concepts. So what's aware? The simple fact that you just are. We peel away awareness. Peel away any labels that's been applied to true nature. Peel away true nature. Peel away just this. And then there's nothing that can be spoken about. Because what we are is not a thing. It's not apart from us. It can't be set apart and, we can't separate from what we are. So that's when the mind goes blank because it can't find anything to just conceptualize. I might try and offer up some things it's learned. We can just let those drop and, even attributeless. It's a pointer, a signpost. We just let the signpost dissolve. It's just we just are what we are, effortlessly. And that's how life can then experience from effortless being. So there's not a doing, there's not a me, there's not a point of view. There is just the recognition of what we are. And then that recognition is seen to, we can explore that you can't leave it, that it's self-evident, doesn't need to be worked out or held in place. It's just what we are, just what's here. And you might notice there's just deep rest because there can be that experience of efforting, that can be identified with all those layers again. So the contraction, we take ownership of the contraction. So there's a denser experience that life's having. And when we're noticing what we are, that's prior to all of those experiences, physical form just starts to relax. We're no longer in survival mode. And that's when there's chance for infinite possibilities because we've been narrowing down our all the possibilities, because we've been playing these pattern games. So we get the same old thing and wonder why we just keep getting the same old thing. You know, the same conversations, the same patterns with family members, or, you know, it's automatic. There's nobody choosing it. There's nobody getting anything wrong. It's just how life can appear to pattern. So the pattern appears. The pattern's identified with. It's familiar. So again, there's not somebody identifying. There is just the potential experience of identification, the potential experience of patterning, the potential experience of same old. And we've got this sort of reference, this point of view that then's referencing life. So, and also the spiritual one thinks, well, if I just rest in effortless being, then life will sort itself out. So again, it's more positioning. So all it is positioning appearing, the spiritual manager appearing. So it's not that it's in the not engaging with the patterns that life sorts itself out, but this is never affected by what appears and disappears. So it's okay with what appears and disappears. So it doesn't fight, it doesn't resist what appears and disappears. Because you might notice that your awareness is neutral, effortlessly neutral. You're not having to meet everything from neutrality. It's already neutral. Because I fell for that one. You know, this sort of subtle position that if I meet everything from neutrality, because I'd heard that, everything just it dies down, which it actually does. But it's still, there's still a little doer that's trying to manage it, and sometimes it doesn't work, and you're like, hang on, let's not work now. So it's more effective than fighting everything, but actually it's a subtle effort, and we can see that what we are is already effortless, already welcoming everything, because it's formless, it's centerless, so everything's already welcomed. You know, welcoming is happening. Allowing is already happening. Nobody needs to allow their thoughts. They're already being allowed. They're already included. There's nobody needing to include them, manage them, look at them, rearrange them, prefer that one over that one. All of that can appear and be experienced, but what's experienced them never becomes a me, never leaves what it is. It's already neutral, already like the vast open sky, it's already allowing. So the sky is unaltered by the clouds. It appears altered, but it's unaltered by the clouds. It's naturally allowing all the weather. It effortlessly. It's just its nature. So our nature is one of total acceptance, total allowing. It's just lifing. It's just in love with itself. It just wants to. It's hard to describe, but it just wants to engage, have these textures of experience. So what you are, does your awareness prefer anything? Does it have a preference, your awareness? Does it need the moment to be any different? It's only when there is the mind offers up, oh, I don't like that. So that's just an opinion appearing. It's just an appearance. And so what we've been doing is giving authority. We've been taking what the mind says is true, that there is a me that prefers that person not to be so loud, or not to be so rude, or not to be. But you've got no center. It's naturally allowing. It doesn't mean then that it just allow people to be rude to you. It just means you don't pick up a pattern, and the pattern dies. The person probably stops being rude, or you just say the right thing at the right time, because it's a natural response. Life is responding naturally. It's so amazing. Life responds naturally to itself, not conditioned. So it's just that wisdom. It's just right thing at the right time. It's just flow and ease, and that spiritual manager feels like it's got to do that in order for that to happen. So it's still in cause and effect. I think that's a tricky one to see through this doer, that there's nobody doing anything. Where is the doer? So the thoughts are spontaneously appearing, the reactions are spontaneously appearing, the patterns are being spontaneously adopting. Now, the way that doesn't happen is not through a spiritual manager managing it, being good, learning all these lessons and able to now got a bag of tricks. It's in just being totally okay with what's appearing. Not somebody being okay, just recognizing recognizing what you are. You are formless, impersonal awareness. So you're the simple noticing of what's arising. There is no opposition because you're formless. So life is then unfolding spontaneously in its most natural, effortless, and easeful way. But when there's a pattern adopted, then life feels very dense, very need to control all thoughts of a me that needs to control and manage the moment. You can't believe how easy it is because I've done this for how many years of picking up the tricks and working out what to do, and I've done, and now it's like it can't be that you're just the knowing of the moment and everything is just arising. It's not arising to anybody. Who are the thoughts coming to? Who do they belong to? Who are the invitations to? David talks about invitations, and it's a really valid, helpful. Some things are helpful. The invitations, so we get to see them. We think they're very serious, these invitations, when we take ourselves to be a me. There's identification around it. There's investment in the invitation, or whatever it is. Somebody's rude to us, or somebody's done something incorrectly, and we feel justified in getting a position. How dare they? And it's justified from the point of view of a mind. So that's understandable. That's all okay, even if that's adopted. The simple seeing of it takes all this thing out of it. So even if it's adopted, even if there's been all this tangoing, because this spiritual one's not going to like that. It fell asleep. It was rude. That person was rude. It got annoyed. It feels awful. It's now chewing on the story. And then it wakes up and says, oh, hang on a minute. What did I do? So there's all that sort of investment in it. So even if that is adopted, we can say, oh, look at that. All of that. So there's the seeing of that, all of that adoption, all of those spiritual gymnastics, all of that forgetting and waking up. And we're just the open, awake space watching it. The intelligence based in unity, seeing that whatever is actually appearing is this. Because life can appear as lots of things. But it's not to say if life is appearing as something, very in contrast to true nature. So true nature is one of unity, and then life experiences itself, has infinite potential to experience itself in all of these different things, to extreme separation. Now notice, awareness doesn't mind. Your true nature doesn't mind all of that. If you're looking from just simple awareness, not engaging a point of view of a mind, it doesn't mind all of that. There's no story yet. There's just the simple seeing of how life can appear in all those textures of experience, from separation, from somebody's doing something awful to somebody doing something heroic, or from unity to separation. All of those two things. Now it's to see that it's the wholeness appearing as separation and unity. It's always the wholeness appearing as something, but the wholeness doesn't become that. So it's not like, so the ocean doesn't leave the ocean and become a wave. It remains the ocean. So the wholeness appears as separation, it appears as all these things. So that's where, so we don't ignore what's appearing. If somebody's done something that's against somebody else, then there's consequences. So within the game, within the appearances, there is this, there are rules, there are things to follow, there are bills to pay, there are money to be earned. That's the game. And I can't say it would be easy if you're experiencing something very, very extreme, because I have had some extreme things. We start to see that something, when we have a very dense experience, an appearance, So what you are isn't altered by it. So we start to see that we're totally untouched because we're still okay. We're still formless, totally neutral, absolutely fine. Yet there's all this chaos arriving. There's input. So it's not to ignore what's appearing. We don't ignore what's appearing, but it's again, it's effortless being. There is okay. So there's action to be taken from wisdom, not fear and panic. Like the little thing I told you about before I came on. Something make that bigger. There's something that needs to be done. And when we so this is tricky because we don't remain as effortless being because we are that already. We just don't engage with the fear and panic and the manager. We just are what we are. We recognize what we are. And life experiences itself in, okay, that's interesting. There's all of that appearing. And then, the doer wants to kick in. So there's an awareness of the doer. And then their mind's going to scream, you're doing nothing. You're not, this is really irresponsible. This is, so again, they're all just invitations. They're all just textures of experience. And when we remain just the simple noticing of it, you'll be amazed that stuff gets done. The actions are taken very easily, and you can't quite believe that the situation was, it's just very practical things on a life that just unfold. The right message comes, and then you press a button, and then that happens, and then and it all just falls into place, and you can't quite believe it all was so effortless because we're so used to picking up a doer and efforting and worrying and trying to manage it. And have you noticed how exhausting that is? Trying to play the game from the physical form finds that really exhausting to be in mental activity, to be trying to manage the moment. So all of those are textures of experience appearing in what you are that's totally unaltered. But they can be, they can be experienced as a me that's doing all of this, and it's draining, and then we're not sleeping, and then, and so that's the experience that life has. They never become a me. The me experiences what's appearing. But it's all just, so we feel like we become a solid thing that now has got to manage. But if you look, it's all just layers of textures of experience: a thought, a contraction, an energy drain, more looping thoughts appear. It's all spontaneously appearing, all of it. Nobody's thinking it. It can feel like somebody's thinking it. Nobody's managing it, but it can feel like somebody's managing it. It's all just the way life can experience itself, but it never becomes the me. It never becomes that. So the unity, let's look at that, because I did touch on unity, and it's coming back around. Unity. So when we rest is what we are, and that's just not the right words, because it's all we have ever been. We've never not been the simple knowing of the moment, formless, timeless, effortlessly what we are. It's been potentially overlooking it, shooting past it when a thought comes in. Just life has been engaging in thoughts. So there's nothing other than what we are, because we remain whole. And the limitations appear in the wholeness, but they're born out of wholeness. So they appear limited. All the invitations appear limited. The experiences are limited. There's a little me contracted. It's all just limitation, but it's the wholeness experiencing itself as limitation, never becoming limited. So everything that's appearing is this. But that is also spontaneously seen. And what tends to happen is the mind wants to get hold of that and go, well, where's the oneness? Where's the not separate? It tries to work it out, but of course it's in concepts. So it's not the best tool to see. And when we rest, it's the wrong wording, we recognize what we are. We notice what we are. That we're just this. Always, only ever just this. Never not this. There's no opposites here. There's just this. We've not created opposites yet. There's appearances. But if we don't engage a mind without not labeling them and creating distance and form and a story, when we're just the noticing of everything, there's no preference. So it's all just neutrally appearing. So there's less division already, because we're not ranking it, that we want this and we don't want that. There's no personalization, no point of view, no preference. It's usually the thoughts about the moment that cause the suffering and the denser modes of experience. So there can be a situation, and that's fine. And not ignoring situations, but it's what we fundamentally are is untouched by all of it. So I think the fact there's no separation just reveals itself, really. Again, it's just effortless. The separation is appearing. And when that's no longer, if we're not creating a point of view, then we're not creating an opposite. So there's just the simple seeing of it. And that distance sort of collapses, because where do you end? We've got no boundary. So there's not subject-object in mode, because we haven't got a me that's now got things it's got to manage. There is managing appearing. There is situations appearing. There are choices appearing. Choices are just happening. Nobody's choosing. Choices happen. But these choices appear from wisdom rather than choices in limitation, in lack, in fear. Again, there's no me choosing, even in the wisdom body. It's just that's where the textures of experience are. That's how life can experience itself. And we start to know it's so intimate because there's no opposites. You don't leave what you are. Where do you end? So there's no opposite. If you can't find where you end, there's no opposites. There's nowhere you're not. It's just soon as the point of view, then we've got subject object, and that also is okay. That's what's appearing. What's aware of it is totally neutral, so it doesn't mind if subject object is engaged, doesn't mind if the busy mind's appearing. The spiritual one will think it's got to have a peaceful mind. And yet there can be a peaceful mind or not. But what we are doesn't mind. It's unaltered by thoughts. It's just when those layers kick in, that there's a me and it's my thoughts and I need to get rid of them, well, then there's an experience of that. But what's experiencing is totally unaltered, totally free. And it's not for me just to tell you that, it's to look. Your direct experience. Is this moment already okay? Does what you are, the simple noticing of the moment, the effortless being, just this, have a problem with the moment? Already okay, already whole, already complete. You might notice it just feel just complete, that you don't need anything. And their mind is in seeking mode. It's in a got to get. It's in a need something. Just because it's based in a concept of a me that's limited. But we can recognize that the moment's already okay, that we don't need anything. That doesn't mean there's not things going to be appearing and experienced and it's going to be nice. Preferences are going to appear in the neutrality that doesn't need a preference. You see what I mean? It doesn't prefer the moment to be any particular way, but then there'll be a preference appearing, and it can be a preference appearing in the denser modes, or a preference appearing in, oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, somebody rings you up, you think, oh, that would be nice. Or there's a preference in the denser modes that, well, no, I prefer that. I don't want somebody charging me more for my doing my potholes. Sorry, that was just my. I always have to go to something that's happened recently because I can't really find anything. Everything falls away, so it's hard to, when we're not fixing it, the story in place. It's hard to find. Hard to find. It's always good to share what's happening because that's alive. The moment's alive. The mind's based in a concept of a me that's not alive. It's a story. You can't be a label or a concept. You have to be the aliveness that's here, the moment as it is, just unfolding, totally alive and spontaneous and just here, just this, brand new, fresh, fresh, fresh. Whereas the mind's in a memory and past and future and contrast and compare and judgments, and that's all sort of, in a just appearing as a story rather than the aliveness that's here already, the moment just as it is. So if anybody's got anything to share or